What's up, guys? Erroneous here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is going to be episode 2 of the ZINOGRE Blade Master Fusion on my free-to-play account. I have been playing for over 4 years, free-to-play, and of course, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to get these fusions or fragment champions as compared to players that are brand new to the game. However, I am going for this fusion, and I sometimes skip other fusions or fragment champions if I don't feel like they're worth going for now. But I do recommend fusions if you're trying to collect them all, like you have that sort of mentality. But again, I love going for these champions that are really strong or beneficial to an account. That's me personally. And there have been a few fusions or fragment champions that I've skipped. Some I was upset for skipping and missed out, and they're actually better than I expected. Whereas others really were garbage, and I was happy that I skipped them. Anyways, in this video, we will be going over the ZINOGRE fusion. Where am I at in the events and tournaments? And then I'll kind of showcase to you a couple of champions in the tavern as well, and we'll go from there. So let's do this. Let's first start off, though, in the tavern. So in terms of the free re-gear that everybody had a chance to do on their account, right? You should have done re-gears if you're going for the Cursed City. If you're not and you're just focusing on dungeons, you should have done re-gears on your champions to try to increase their stats, bloat them up a little bit more. Or maybe you're trying to focus on Hydra. You should have re-geared a bunch of champions to speed tune them a little bit better in Hydra. Whatever it is that you were trying to go for. For me, I decided to re-gear a bunch of champions to beat Ammius. So check out the video that I posted on rotation number 2 of Ammius. I did post that. I beat him. And I did it in a somewhat free-to-play way. It's kind of difficult because Ammius is super endgame content. And you need specific champs to beat him. Or crazy awakening levels. Now, in terms of the champions that I upgraded or re-geared, I did re-gear Foley during the free re-gear, and he's now my best damage dealer on my account. 245 speed, 280 crit damage, 6400 on the attack. Baseline Foley, I have no faction guardians for Dark Elves either, but I do have him at a 3-star awakening, which is nice because that 3-star awakening is going to grant additional attack, 500 attack, and then the target HP threshold for the Soul Reap, which if they get to 8% of their HP remaining, then there's a chance where the Grim Reaper comes out of nowhere and just smacks him down, which is pretty sweet. Now I can get 25 more crit damage, which is going to bring him over 300% crit damage, which is awesome, at 4. And then at 5, target threshold is a 50% chance to place a True Fear, which is pretty cool if the target survives the Grim Reaper. And then 6, we get another 250 attack and more crit damage and more speed. So he'll be at 305 plus 13, 315, 318 crit damage. He'll be at 260 speed. And he'll be at like, what is that? 66, 60, almost 6,700 on the attack, which is not bad at all. And then, of course, if I were to get some faction guardians going for Dark Elves, I could get 10% more attack, and then I can get more speed, of course, in the end. So he'll be at like close to 7k on the attack. You know, he'll be at 270 plus speed. And then over time, I'll get better gear, and he'll just be even more crazy. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to that in the future. Other champions I did upgrade. I re-geared my Sun Wukong. Now, this build isn't the best. I don't really love it, but I don't hate it either. It's decent, but it's not great. There's no Savage on them other than one piece of gear. I put speed set and then no other real sets. They're just random. 284 speed though. I did try to go for a little bit of damage, a little bit more accuracy than he had before when I was in a full damage Wukong build. So he does surprisingly strip more champions than expected and sheep more champions than expected. So, and he hits fairly hard still with just this gear. And I still have him in his old masteries with Helm Smasher. So he still hits pretty well. Just not as good as he used to. Other champs that I re-geared. So I did also level up champions too. But in terms of champ re-gears, I did recently gear my Errol. Of course, I didn't re-gear him, but he's I think he's my second best nuker on my account right now. In terms of, or actually my third best, because Wukong does hit harder than him. But he's between second and third best. I say second best because he's faster than most of my other nukers. Not faster than Wukong, but Wukong, again, is not really built for the damage as he used to be. So in terms of Errol and my Wukong, unless Wukong gets a really good A2 smack, Errol's going to do better than him at this point. And he doesn't even have books. So Yeah, he's definitely one of my top champions that I utilize now. And he has decent stats, nothing crazy compared to the Foley, right? So those are the stats there. Masteries are done with Helm Smasher. No books, so the books will be hugely beneficial for him for damage. And who else did I rebuild? I just leveled up and built my Timid the Fool. I'm waiting for the next artifact enhancement event. So this is what I typically do is if they're like level 13 or 14, I'll get my amulets or my artifacts to level 15 prior to the artifact enhancement to help get more points when I do go into the artifact enhancement, because 15 to 16, you're getting, I believe, 250 or 350 per 6-star artifact or accessory, which is really strong. And if you have about 15 to 20 million silver, you're probably going to max out the artifact enhancement, no problem. That's kind of what happened when I went into the first artifact enhancement, which I'll go into that in a little bit. So other champs that I built up recently. So I just 6-starred my Basatha. I will eventually finish off his gear here. I'm going to max it out. And then once it's maxed, he'll be at about 260, 270 speed with everything maxed. About 50,000 to 60,000 HP. He will have about 500 plus on the accuracy. I think I had like 520 when I saw it in the optimizer with everything maxed. And that does not include the glyphs as well on some of the pieces. So he can get more speed, more speed, more speed. So like he can end up getting a lot more speed. And then of course, on top of that, with the Sand Devil's Necropolis, I'd want to put more speed here on the boots, HP percent, and then crit damage here. If he could do a little bit of damage would be helpful, but he's not really a damage dealer. It's just that I want to utilize him in arena or tag team arena, especially wave content as well. And it would be nice to have just a small amount of damage. Preferably, I'd want to put this guy in a nice bolster set, but because I'm free to play, bolster during the Forge Pass is really, really hard to come by. And to get the perfect gear is very difficult. So if I do happen to get crazy bolster on the next Forge Pass, I'll probably switch him over to a bolster set with high accuracy. And that way he brings a little bit more support to the team when it comes to arena, and every time someone comes back to life like Sun Wukong, he actually is a good counter to Sun Wukong because of the passive. Whenever an enemy is revived, has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, and this effect cannot be resisted or blocked. It also works well against Marichka Taras, right? Because Marichka has that crazy passive, brings everybody back to life, but it can't be resisted or blocked. So he's always going to stun them when they come back to life. You can take a turn and kill them, hopefully. So I do want to try out Basatha once he's fully maxed and maybe do a showcase on him. The other champion I rebuilt was my Eryx. So I did have Stone Skin and Savage on her, but she was way too slow, and it just didn't benefit her at all because she didn't have counterattacks or anything like that. So I decided to re-gear her into a retaliation set. And honestly, this is better than the Savage and Stone Skin, unless that Savage and Stone Skin was like super fast, but you just have no way of counterattacking, and it was a 1-turn Stone Skin. So what's the point, right? You'd want a 2-turn Stone Skin on her and a chance to counterattack with her. So I was like, well, she wasn't counterattacking. And I ended up putting the masteries on her off camera and tried to continue to use the Savage and Stone Skin. Just wasn't working for me. So I was like, you know what? I want a counterattack. So if I can get revenge accessories as well, that would be awesome. I just don't really have any right now. I think I have one, but it's defense based. It's not crit damage. And that's what you want on her for damage. And I tried her out in Live Arena, and I tried her out in Tag Team Arena, and she was going ham with the retaliation. 15% chance to counterattack when hit, 2 artifact set, and I have 2, so it's 30% chance to counterattack. Then on top of that, she has the counterattack masteries, 50% chance to counterattack when she loses 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill, and then deterrence, 20% chance to counterattack an enemy when they apply stun, freeze, sleep, fear, true fear, petrification, or sheep on an ally. So she does get a lot of counterattacks with this set. If I could get her in a full 6-piece set and get a 45% chance to counterattack, that's going to be dirty. But of course, I don't have the pieces to really get her stats up that high. So in terms of her full stat, she's at 85,000 HP. Would love that to be higher. She's got 100% crit rate, 266 crit damage, 197 speed. And of course, there's room for growth here. I'd prefer this to be crit damage, prefer this to be HP percent, and this I would like to have either HP percent or speed. HP percent is going to have her do more damage in general. Of course, if I want her to do more counterattacks, then I want just HP percent because she's going to be slower with that, with a higher HP threshold. For the skills, I would recommend for the blessing to go with, which one is it? Ward of the Fallen, because it's going to help her stay alive, get more HP, more crit damage. So I'm going to go with Ward of the Fallen when I do get blessings on her, and I think she's going to be really strong. And then in terms of skills, she doesn't have any books either. So very strong champion, even without the books. With the masteries, you're going to want to go with Helm Smasher for her, in my opinion. Unless you want to go full support with her, but preferably you want her to try to do damage. She's going to scare people off sometimes, and you will get her banned a lot of times too from Live Arena. But again, she did really well in Live Arena for me. Other than that, I don't think I had any other champs. Oh, I re-geared my Martyr as well. Once it's fully maxed out, try to put her in some damage, a little bit of speed. So once everything's maxed, she'll be at about 230, 240 speed. And yeah, protection set, 5-piece, which means if she places the counterattacks, and I believe, what else does she place? Counterattacks and increased defense on all allies. She has a chance of protecting that, a 50% chance with a 5-piece set, which is not bad. And if I had 9 pieces, then it would end up being +8 speed, more resistance, and a 75% chance. And allies deal 5% more damage per each buff placed by the wearer, which is insane. So if I can get her in a 9-piece set eventually, that's what I'm going to want to go for. I just need 3 more pieces, and I'm really hoping I can get that on her. Plus, the additional speed is going to be great. You want her to be going like 260 plus speed if you can help it, with some damage to help do damage against the enemies. And make sure her defense is high. Try to work on her HP, get this higher as well. Of course, it's a baseline Martyr. I don't have any books in her, no blessing. And masteries, I went with Helm Smasher and Counterattack Mastery. So yeah, those are all the champs that I re-geared over the re-gear weekend. I could have done more, but unfortunately I didn't. So let's see. In terms of the tournaments, let's go over here. Got Ice Golem going on right now. I have been pushing on Ice Golem, and we're almost done. 2250 is the threshold. I'm at 1995. I'm probably going to go for the Epic Book as well, just because that's helpful for CVC. Classic Arena, that's already done. Everybody should be able to do Classic Arena with no problem. This is the easiest one out of all of the events or tournaments if you have this type of Classic Arena takedown going on. Now for events, Dungeon Divers. This one's tougher than the previous one. The previous Dungeon Divers was 3,700. They actually increased it by 300 to 4,000. So this one's a lot tougher. I did have to jump into a lot of my gems, but also because I wanted to complete some masteries on champions. So I did complete masteries on my Tormund, my Eric's, and who else? I think those are the only 2 I completed my masteries on currently. Probably going to focus on Rathalos Blade Master. He's going to be insane for Hydra. And yeah, just in general, Dungeon Divers is going to be difficult for anybody going for this. If you can get first place or second place and get the additional 5 fragments for her, awesome. But again, you might need to dip into some gems potentially if you didn't save a ton of resources, which is energy, prior to going into this Fragment Champion event. For artifact enhancement, like I said earlier, I did max it out entirely the first day, so I had no problem. So I did spend more silver. I could have been at like 10 or 12 million silver if I saved, but I was trying to upgrade some champion gear since I did a re-gear on a lot of champions. And of course, I got rid of all my 10 million silver that I saved up for the next artifact enhancement event, which I shouldn't have done. But I will do a little bit more Ice Golem, maybe do some other farming, maybe Spider if I finish Ice Golem, and then save up some more silver for the next artifact enhancement event that comes up soon. But overall, we're doing pretty good. And just a quick note, in the morning, if I decide to post this video in the morning on a Tuesday, we'll be having the 1+1 Pogo event for Sacred Shards. I'm debating on going for it or not, because if I save my Sacreds, then I can use these Sacreds for the next fusion, and a lot of times people fail the fusions or fragment champions because of shard pulls. That's like the biggest reason why a lot of people end up failing fusions, is because of the shards. They just don't have any because they use them on 1+1 events or 10x events or progressive chance events, things like that. But I think I might go for it. I'm 7 shards in on my sacreds with no legendary, and I'm feeling pretty lucky. But anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck if you're going to be doing the 1+1 pogo. And yeah, I'll see you on a video soon. Take care.